Good afternoon. First off, I'd like to say well done. Well done, young achievers. You deserve a pat in the back by the one beside you. So, come on, go on. It's time to greet one another. Well done. You did a great job. I would like to congratulate also the proud parents, the guardians, lolos and lolas, titos and titas, kuyas, ates and kamag-anaks. I'm sure none of this would have happened without your guidance and generous support. So a big round of applause to all of you. Okay, so why am I here? Why am I speaking in front of you, young and talented group of people, right now? Because back in high school, I don't remember actually getting any form of academic recognition back then in the days when I was about your age. Baka siguro nung time na yon, hindi pa nai-invento yung printer. Or medyo mahal pa yung cost ng medals nun. But di ko actually alam yung such thing as Recognition Day. Ang ganda pala, ang saya pala. Tsaka ang dami palang magaganda at mga gwapong nire-recognize today. I can just imagine your fleeting feeling right now. Sayang kung alam ko lang noon. Well, kidding aside, I was just an average student back then. No memories of award whatsoever. Too young to mind, I guess. Daming excuses, ano? Yes, I would say that's one of the major things that hinders me from doing what I should be doing long time ago. And even now, pag may mga bagay ako na hindi kagad nagagawa, most of the time it boils down to a number of excuses. Excuses. May kasabihan nga tayo, and I want you to bear this in mind, kung gusto mo, may paraan. Kung ayaw mo, then maraming dahilan. At kadalasan, di naman talaga valid ang dahilan. Nagdadahilan lang. Probably out of laziness, and laziness is one of the dreadful things that can make even the brightest mind fall into a trap of mediocrity. So going back to my issue earlier, why am I here? This is my million-dollar question, which made me ponder for a time. Well, I can think of only one reason. I'm here because, and I would dare say this, that while we all know that having high grades or high IQ is important in the ladder of educational success, it is equally important also to develop your EQ. I'm sure that's the reason why our dear alma mater included personality development in our subject in order for us to develop not only our intelligence, but our personality as well. Or perhaps a more fitting description is character. In order for us to be equipped in a holistic manner, as mentioned earlier by Dr. Santos and Mr. Yoro, character building is nation building. Because in reality, outside the boundary of school is where the real challenges and the real test awaits. And that, I guess, why I'm here, to be able to share to you my simple story. I was a late bloomer back then. My physical growth, I would say, is quite delayed. Parang internet connection lang. Medyo mabagal. Imagine I was just 5'2" when I entered my senior year. So during those times, it was easier for me to shy away from the typical boys hangout or activities. I can remember, nagtitiptoe pa ako noon pag naglalakad just to look a bit taller. Anyway, fourth year was the time when I started also giving basketball more time. Kahit na maliit ako nun, it didn't stop me from loving the game despite my size. But I can easily see the mismatch back then when playing alongside my classmates due to their bigger build and height advantage. So most of the time I played with younger guys as part of coping up. And thinking about those days made me realize that by not limiting yourself to a certain group of people, you'll be able to discover other possibilities of development outside the pressure of your peers, your classmates, or your batchmates. I think I can relate to those boys here in the auditorium who gets intimidated by bigger, stronger, or mas mawapormang classmates natin. Well, that's fine. That's good for the latter, speaking of the cooler guys, that they have the early advantages in life. All they have to do is to refocus on more important things, as they are most of the time subject also to a lot of more distractions than the ones with less external attention. In my case, during my growing up years, I was the one that had to hurdle and overcome those challenges, like those physical insecurities and other perceived disadvantages, by learning a number of ways to develop. Have an open mind to opportunity. For me, meeting new friends from various age groups, both young and old alike, gave me an opportunity to understand life from a different perspective, or from a different mindset or point of view. So I would encourage you to explore. Now is the best time for you to widen your horizon. You'll be amazed in the process of doing so, as you'll discover that it's not only you that are learning from it, but the people you get to interact also. And in a way, sometimes you get to assume a positive role of influencing them, especially to the younger group of people, by giving them bits of advice based on what you've already experienced or through the lessons you've learned from other friends, and vice versa. When you expose yourself to people ahead of you, more knowledgeable and more experienced than you, then there's a great chance that they'll be able to provide you with valuable information that may help you weave through tough times and bigger problems as you go on with your life. In a nutshell, that's the beauty of give and take. Although just a word of caution, as not all people older than us can give appropriate or wise advice all the time, so it's equally important to use our common sense too. Actually, that's the first advice I would want you to remember. Use your common sense as much as possible. According to Merriam-Webster, common sense is about experiencing or exercising sound and prudent judgment based on a simple perception of the situation or facts. Carl Albrecht, an American motivator, calls it practical intelligence. Perhaps this is one basic and useful ability that you can apply every single day, be it small decisions or more important ones. So I urge you all to practice it consciously and even develop it as you broaden your knowledge and understanding of life in general. In the process, dito na din lumalabas ang tinatawag nating diskarte on how we deal with situations and other challenges that we may encounter in the next stage of our education. And speaking of the next stage, it's important to set your sight. Which brings me to my next advice, dream. Yes, dream. Set your ambition. Naalala ko nyo nung mga bata pa kayo, you were asked by your parents or your titos, titas, the question, what do you want to be when you grow up? I guess this is the time to take a real good look at it, of what you really want, then pursue it. Perhaps at this point in time, half of you know already what to do, what to focus on in your succeeding years. Speaking of the strand that we have in high school. But for those who are still unsure, it's important that you discover whatever it is that you want, one way or another, sooner than later. Because all of your succeeding actions and reactions will depend on that particular objective. That's why it's ideal to do something we love doing. This will give us a sense of fulfillment to the efforts and sacrifices we throw into it. Even temporary setbacks or mistakes become much more bearable when you do things that are in alignment with your heart and mind. Jack Ma, the Chinese billionaire who owns the online shopping site Alibaba, not sure if you're familiar with him, with a net asset of $18 billion, failed several times on his earlier years. 10 times he failed applying at Harvard University. He failed applying at KFC, then failed again applying as a policeman. But because his dream is far bigger than failure, he didn't stop from those setbacks, and the rest, as they say, is history. And as you dream, the next thing I would want you to focus on is discipline. This is an essential quality that you must possess and need to continue on developing in order to achieve your future dreams or goals. And the greater your dream is, the bigger the amount of discipline it requires. I bet you have an idea already of what I mean, noting the awards and recognition that you have received today. Because we all know that by working diligently on a schedule, result to a better outcome. I think the challenge of this generation is the unlimited source of distractions. Usong-uso kasi yung word na unli. Unli Facebook, unli Twitter, unli online games, unli Snapchats, selfies. Lagi may bagong non-essential things to discover. And most of the time, in the process, you miss doing the important ones. So it would help to find role models and mentors. And having said that, let's all be thankful again to our parents, guardians, teachers for giving us guidance. One good example of discipline also on display, which we saw earlier, is our cadet officers. By committing to that type of responsibility early in life, we develop or become aware of the importance of discipline. Another prime example, without looking any further, is our perpetual pep squad. I'm sure grabe ang disiplina na pinapakita nila during practice for them to be able to showcase that kind of performance on stage every time. One of my favorite players, Stephen Curry, the NBA reigning MVP. Looking at his frame and build in comparison to other more athletic players, LeBron James, seems he wouldn't stand a chance to shine at that level. But through years of hard work, long practices, shooting practically at all angles, just the perfect skills day in and day out led him to become one of the most, if not the most prolific scorer in the NBA today. Aside from that, another quite special about this guy is faith in God. Actually, there's a saying that goes, do your best and God will take care of the rest. You know, putting God first by praying before you do something, and likewise, after accomplishing it, gives a sense of peace and alignment. Like everything is in proper order. After all, He's the source of all the wonderful things we gain in life. So my final advice for all of you, I guess, is to never give up. You are still very young with a very promising future ahead. For sure, there will be times that you will encounter difficulties someday, or overwhelming challenges. You may even make costly mistakes or regrettable decisions. Do not stop. Hang in there, carry on, no matter what. Deal with it, learn from it, do even better the next time. Because the difference between success and failure depends on how you react to it. Beyond IQ and despite the odds. That's what I did during the time I struggled in life. So never give up. Again, huge congratulations to all. It's both an honor and privilege to be able to speak in front of you. Actually, it really feels like my recognition day also, so to speak. Keep it up, keep striving, and keep moving forward. Thank you.